Are you being future faked by a narcissist? Is that something you understand, that you know, or that actually makes sense to you of like, wait a second, are you latching on to someone's false promises versus what's actually happening and what's going on that's real? If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. We do it by dropping content on all different platforms. You can check those out. I'm the founder of Raw Motivations, the creator of the Narc app, and your guide in the 45-day Clarity Challenge that just opened up this week that you can access at claritychallenge.net to break free from toxicity. If you're listening or watching today, would love to have you like or subscribe to whatever platform you're on and whatever platform you're viewing. We drop new videos, new podcasts every single day, and would love to have you part of the community, whether you're inside our Narc app, whether you're inside our Clarity Challenge, or whether you're just part of our listening fan base to be able to help understand what narcissistic abuse is and what narcissism looks like in real life. Well, today we're going to be talking about future faking. And future faking is one of the 3 ways that narcissists use to be able to distort your reality, to be able to confuse you about the reality that you're looking at, believing, and understanding. I want to be able to try to define and to be able to help identify future faking for you and also some aspects of what to do about it today. Well, when we're talking about future faking is the idea of portraying a detailed version of the future to facilitate the bonding and a connection in a romantic relationship. Now, the hard thing about future faking is like, wait a second, what is actually real when we're talking about future faking? It could be easy to be like, this just looks like a connection point. Like, we're both talking about our future, we're both talking about the things down the road, we're both talking about building a life together, so wouldn't this be something that would be a good thing? How do we actually know that it is future faking? Well, when we're talking about future faking, one aspect that is hard and also frustrating is sometimes future faking looks really great along the way. Sometimes it gives off the aura of like, wow, that's super charming. Like, this is like really cute. It's something that's really romantic and really amazing of like, wow, this is something where it's like super connected. Like, we're on the same path. We're going the right direction, all these different things. And the part that's kind of difficult when we're dealing with narcissists is sometimes it's intentional, especially with like a malignant narcissist and someone who's like purposely going this way. Sometimes it can also be non-intentional. Now, it's hard because when I say that, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, mine's non-intentional, so they can change and they didn't mean it and all this stuff. Like, you have to kind of let some of that go as we're trying to just talk through the concept. Okay, so when we're talking about this, sometimes it's an aspect of like, it's not necessarily intentional. It's just putting a person up on a pedestal and then continuing to move forward and be like, hey, this person is the best person ever. Okay, but as it goes through this aspect, future faking is trying to put that version of this is what's going to happen in the future to build that connection. The hard thing is everybody believes it's true until you realize that it's not. Until you realize that it falls apart and you're like, wait a second, this was a complete lie. This was a complete thing, a complete facade of what's going on. When we're talking about future faking, one thing you need to understand is it is very, in the moment, it is very much a tool to provide that close bond and that quick connection. Like, I want to be able to create a quick connection with you instantly. That's the goal. Like, let me get to the place where I'm making that connection, and it typically is going to happen fast. I mean, we'll dive into a couple ideas, but it's typically going to happen fast, and it's going to be something that we can connect on to such a high level that it will be something that you will latch on to, the version of reality that I'm putting out there. Oftentimes when this happens, it makes a very confusing moment because it seems like, wait a second, we're aligned, we're working together on this, but is it really? What are we actually seeing? So what I want to be able to suggest is a couple things to be able to look out for when future faking is actually happening. Okay, because it's so easy to be like, I don't know if this is future faking, if this is love, if this is us planning our future together. Like, what is it actually? So when we're talking about future faking, the first thing I need to understand is that it's done in the early stages. Now, can it be done later? Yes, absolutely. But we want to try to nip it in the bud early in the relationship, early, okay? And it's used as that bonding aspect. Like, I'm putting something out so that you get engaged as quick as possible. I'm describing a future, a relationship that doesn't even exist right now, and we're not even on that path, or we're not even at that place. It's like the idea of in the first date, like saying I love you, or within the first week planning our wedding. Like, it's the idea of like, I need to get you locked into a future idea so that we avoid the present day reality. Oftentimes what you'll see is a future faking aspect that is so focused on the future, the present seems almost impossible to be engaged with. The present of what's happening on a day-to-day basis in the relationship, with honesty, with vulnerability, with how the relationship is morphing and changing and growing, it's all pushed into the future. Well, like I said, with future faking, it moves very fast. A lot of times it's very detailed. It's like, this is how I want us to live. This is how I want this to be. This is what we're planning. And oftentimes it's very soon in the relationship. It's very early. Oftentimes a narcissist will show a spectacular future to secure you and to lock in the relationship, to make sure that you are there saying, this is the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life. This is the person that I want to engage with. The hard part with it is sometimes it is void of reality. Like, it just is. Like, it's so far out there. It's not even like an impossible thing of like, oh, like I want this and we could probably do it one day. But it's like so disconnected from reality because you're not actually seeing anything transpire to get you down that road. Sometimes people will say a lot of things, but will they actually do what's required to get you to the place of this impossible reality actually being a reality? And typically what happens is it's all just words and there's no actually actions behind it. A lot of times it produces this aspect of a fairy tale, of like a reality that seems too good to be true. Oftentimes when we're talking with toxic people, it probably is. The future sometimes doesn't match the present day plans, the lifestyle, or especially the accountability. Of like, what are they actually doing on a day-to-day basis, putting them in this position, putting them where they are currently. And you have to take a look at like, this is what's going on. Is this actually happening? Is this actually something they can replicate? Is this actually something that they're putting in work to make this happen? A lot of times you'll see a disconnect, but the mind doesn't want to believe it. The mind wants to believe their words over their actions. That goes back to cognitive dissonance. Then we start building a trauma bond. Then we get you super stuck because of the aspect of not believing the actions of a person, but believing their words, because those words feel easier to believe than the truth and the reality of the situation. Well, the first aspect in understanding about future faking, defining it, to knowing what to look out for, and then now you have a little bit of an idea, a little bit of understanding. Like, the first step is you got to be able to identify it. Okay? Now that you have a better understanding about future faking as a whole, first thing is identify it to gain power over it. Part of the reason why people don't have power in a narcissistic relationship and they lose control of themselves, of everything else, is because they don't actually know and understand what's going on. The first step is identifying it so you can actually take back your power and you can say, no, I realize what's happening here. Like, I understand what's going on and I'm not going to be manipulated by it anymore. The goal is getting to a place where you're no longer manipulated because you understand what's going on. So you have to understand, if it's future faking, don't let it shift you. Don't let it shift your perspective and change what you're actually seeing. The second thing is slow it down. Pause the conversations with the future faking. Slow it down and see the response that happens. See how they actually react to it. See what actually transpires. A lot of times when you slow down a relationship with a toxic person, you'll start to notice frustrations rise. You'll start to notice annoyance levels. You'll start to notice like a pullback or a shift in dynamic or in energy or in communication structure, whatever it might be. You'll notice the different things because they're not getting what they want. A lot of narcissists are very selfish and focused on what they want. So when you put a break to it and you slow it down, you'll start to see your boundaries are pushed on differently, or they start to step back because they're like, wait a second, this person might not be as easy to manipulate as I thought they were going to be. The third thing, like I mentioned in passing, was the idea of like looking at the present. Dive in the present to see what's actually going on now. Because future faking is the aspect of shifting your perspective. It's changing your focus in a different direction. Like, I have to be able to change your focus from one area to another area to make you continue to see a different reality. And so as a result, with future faking, it's let me continue moving that progression farther and farther so that you avoid what's happening in the present. We see this all the time when people are cheating in the relationship. Like, oh, you're cheating? Well, yeah, but I'm going to take you on a trip. Like, oh, well, I just caught you in this. Well, yeah, but I have this plan. Oh, well, now I'm not going to plan it because, all this stuff starts happening and it's all future faking because it's trying to convince people of something that's happening to avoid the present day reality. And the thing you have to remember is as you dive into that and as you look at that, it's important to stay focused in the present. Identify what's going on, slow it down, dive into the present with honesty, with vulnerability, with emotions to say, hey, what's going on? Last but not least, if you think you're being future faked, if it's something that you're struggling with and you're like, I don't know, is this actually going on? I want you to reach out for help. Whether that's me, whether that's someone else, reach out for help to help get support in understanding the craziness that you feel going through these type of crazy relationships. If you'd like to talk to me one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. We'd love to schedule a time. Right now, if you're interested in taking your learning, your healing to the next level, for a few days left, we have opportunity to sign up at the 45-day Clarity Challenge. An opportunity is a step-by-step process for you to engage with for 45 days to put in habits and ideas and healing into your life at claritychallenge.net. You'll be paired up with other survivors that are going through it at the same pace to hold each other accountable, to build rapport, and to connect with other friends across the country that are going through the same stuff because you need a support system as you do that. The goal is to help you find you today. Because the majority of the time people are lost after being in a narcissistic relationship, the 45-day Clarity Challenge is created to help you find yourself after toxicity.